Hi, guys. Can you see me? Am I on? Hi, Jeff and Dan and Patricia. You guys are going wild with this, aren't you? Let me know if I'm good. Give me a thumbs up or something here. We got 6 of you on now, so let's see what we got. So, okay, last thing I have is from Jeff. Let's get this going. 5-5. I guess that means we're okay, Dan? Am I on, guys? Everything looks copacetic, but I'm not hearing from you. Oh, am I on now? Okay, audio and video. Everything's good. Okay, so is this wild or what, guys? Let's see. I got lots of notes, and I see that you've already been talking about all this. So that's fantastic. Let's just take a look at what we've got going here, okay? And I'm leaning with Patricia on this one, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so first we know that ABC, NBC, and CNN refused to cover it. So Trump is calling for at least ABC and NBC to lose their broadcast licenses for not airing his primetime speech. I didn't research that, and of course I'm not an attorney, but I mean, I think what we have got here, guys, is one thing building on another. It's not any one thing that's going to bring us here. He's got to prove a huge, massive insurrection going with massive corruption within the system. So anyway, so let's take a look at what he said here. I've got a great graphic too. Let's see if I can find that graphic for you, because it was really good. I did it, but there we go. All right, so this, I'm going to show you this graphic, and I'm going to talk about what it means and how it details basically the tiers of what's being done here. So is this it? No. Hold on. There we go. All right, so you should be able to see this graphic on now, and it looks like you do. Okay, great. Okay, so what this is it talks about mapping the election fraud architecture. And I don't know how many of you have seen the documents. The documents are basically reports. He said it's going to happen in 4 groups, so there's no major smoking guns yet. But what he says is a system-level view of the claim. And I wish I could give credit for this. I think it's AI, and I don't know who did it. I don't know if you can even credit yourself to AI, but so it's a systems level at the entire system. Remember we talked about the control system? View of claimed vulnerabilities, alleged fraud vectors, and response pathways. Okay, so if you look over here to the left, you should be able to see that anyway. It says that basically the threats are Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and non-state actors. That means people that are not government people. And my guess is too that could be people in Congress or whatever. Don't know yet. So the full election attack, okay, and what this talks about is all the ways, all the different angles that they used to infiltrate our elections. And first there was the foreign data layer, okay, over 220 million voter records were breached by Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and these other non-state actors. So that was the foreign thing, bring the foreign interference into it. Then there was the cyber vulnerability. Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and non-state acts, that's when they accessed our records. So then we have the software and the voting machines, right? That was an actual digital manipulation by machines. And many years ago, I saw a video, I wish I could find that again, which was actually doing it in real time. And all they had to do was take and change the numbers in a certain field, and hit enter, and it was as quick as that. It was unreal. But they have multiple layers of it, as we saw. So then you got the registration fraud. These are false registrations. The applicant signed either in somebody else's name or fictitious voter entries. Another layer that they had was the identity. 400,000, the eligibility layer, that there were people that weren't eligible that were voting. 400,000 non-citizens are on the voting rolls. Now, that's not necessarily how many voted. That's how many are on the rolls. Then there's the chain of custody layer, right? That's a big thing in all police work. You have to have a chain of custody. If I have a knife that somebody committed murder with, and I just threw it in the back of my car and had criminals sitting in the back of my car and everything, and there's no chain of custody there. So what happened was these ballots lost their chain of custody when they did all this ballot harvesting and stuff. And they had it without any kind of IDs. That's what we're still fighting on it. Okay, then there was the institutional suppression layer. And these are agency burn bags and stuff. Well, the FBI and the CIA, everybody knew about it. And all of these agencies were involved. Then and so what I'm saying here is, this is what was all in Trump's speech or the released documents last night, was all of these elements that he laid the seed for. So there was the institutional suppression by the government entities, and then the legislative and enforcement, the congressional roadblocks, and these constant bogus rulings by various liberal judges. So basically, this is the response. This is how we have to handle it. Release the documents, expose our vulnerabilities, which has already been done, notify states, and I don't know whether that's been done or not. I know that we have clean voter rolls, and then patch the systems. So that's next. Reopen investigations that have been ongoing or closed, perhaps. Prosecute in the courts, and pass security reforms. So we have to then change it. And then it just says here, the core message was that the speech framed election integrity as a full spectrum national security issue, connecting foreign access, cyber risk, registration vulnerabilities, eligibility concerns, ballot handling, institutional failures, and legislative reform into one whole ball of what's coming at the left real soon. So so this is wild, isn't it? So what I saw him doing was, when I went through and I searched I spoke for hours after Den put down the two EOs, EO 13848 and 13818. And so I spent a couple hours that I was researching here, and hold on, let me get there. And the AI will tell you, no, this can't be done. There'll be objections. But, well, who cares if there's objections? Technically, Trump can do anything he wants. But what I found out was that there's numerous different laws that all are commingled. So, like, there's only certain provisions for voter fraud, certain things that can be done, and there are monetary things that can be done for voter suppression, or not, the integrity, integrity of the election. Basically, it's monetary consequences. But then you have all these other things that are involved that we just went through that he did. There's the cyber risks of them hacking computers. There's illegals. There's the Michigan voter fraud investigation, where FBI documents detailed widespread fraudulent voter registrations. One reviewed batch, 91 out of 107 applications were fraudulent. That was in Michigan. Workers were paid per registration. And we saw this, I think, not Nick, but OMG, O'Keefe. O'Keefe did this also, where he went undercover to Skid Row, and he found out that they were paying these people for their ballots, basically, to sign a ballot. And then there's the forged documents when they didn't even bother. They just took the dead people and stuff and had them voting and just wrote theirs down. So then there's also, so that's the fraud investigation. We've got, there's another, oh my goodness, another Federal Reserve Board governor that's going down. I'll tell you about that. But so this whole thing is going to be all of these different things coming together that will enable him to execute the Insurrection Act. That's what I'm seeing. None of these will, like, Dan talk. How we doing? Okay. Oh, we got lots of talking on here. Hi, Jeff. Hi. Oh, Helen's here. Hi, sweetheart. And Mark's here. Oh, okay. This is Mark. This is called a tachyon. TACHYON. Hang on. We can do this real quick, I think. Hang on one second, guys. Get one thing out at a time, huh? Okay. So this is how tachyon works from a physics standpoint. And I'll link this video here. Hey, Jeff. All right, so this is the tachyon video that I did, and I think there's links to different products in there. Okay. Oh, Wendy. Hi, Wendy Rock. We got two Wendy's, huh? Okay, Letitia. Wow, everybody, cool. Okay, good. The whole gang is here. So you know what we're talking about. We're talking about this whole election thing that happened last night, right? I don't know when you guys came in, but it is wild. So everybody, of course, oh, hi, Visionaries Worldwide. That's new. Hi, Visionaries. So we've been hearing, and everybody's been jumping, and all these non-lawyers are putting together how this is going to go. But in reality, you have to remember that it's always fluid, it's always flexible, and it depends on what's happening in other areas. So as far as the laws go, executive order, let's see. So let me go through some of my notes here, okay? So there is evidence of those agencies because President Trump stated that Obama ordered election fraud evidence to be destroyed in the burn bags, but they survived and Trump's team has them. So that's some election records that they tried to destroy that we apparently have. Plus, we had to have that whole 2020 FUBAR happen for more evidence, because that's where most of this evidence is coming from, is 2020, right? Okay, so Dan brought up two of the EOs. One was 13848, and that is imposing certain sanctions in the event of foreign interference in a U.S. Election. And that is what, on the surface, this whole thing was sold to us as, right? Election interference. But there's more to it. Now, one thing that's interesting to know is that this order, 13848, was signed on September 12th by President Trump, 2018. And what it did at that point, it declared a national emergency in 2018. And the thing is, it still holds because under the National Emergencies Act, the emergency expires in a year unless a president formally renews it. So every year since 2018 through the entire Biden administration, this interference in elections, foreign interference in elections, which you know the dark ones knew about, they were involved in it, but yet somehow somebody kept renewing that order. It would have been very easy, of course, and it could have been invalidated. Trump could have just written another one. There were a lot of reasons. So maybe they didn't do it for a reason, but they renewed it every single year during the Biden administration. So we still are under a state of emergency regarding foreign interference with our elections. And the most recent renewal on that was August 2025. So it's good until September 2026, where if something doesn't happen by then, they're going to have to renew that again. Okay, then the second, but that in itself doesn't meet the threshold of pulling any material. That law is not connected to anything that allows us to pull military out or take over communications or anything like that. It's just another nail in the coffin, let's say. Then there's Executive Order 13818. And this is a foundational order that was enacted December 20th, 2017. And at that time, the country was also declared in a national emergency under the National Emergency Act and the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Again, International Economic Powers Act. Finally, finding that serious human rights abuse and corruption worldwide with sources outside the U.S. threaten the stability of international political and economic systems, of U.S. national security, foreign policy, and our economy. So that is a huge one. For many, many reasons, our country is in a national emergency, not just elections, but now we've got elections on top of it. That particular law authorizes the Treasury Department, working with the state and the Justice Departments, to freeze all assets, property interests of people that are designated as foreign persons within the U.S. jurisdiction that were involved. So again, we're dealing with foreign people. But this ties to another aspect of it when American citizens are brought into it, because then they kind of become spies, don't they? So this order targets current or former government officials involved in significant corruption, like bribery, misappropriation of state assets. Do we need to say anything more than Minnesota and California? Or facilitation of corruption, or facilitation of corruption. So the main order dealing with election corruption is 13848, but 13818 could indirectly apply if election-related activities involve corruption like bribery of officials, misappropriation tied to this voter stuff and all. I think we have multiple different things happening here. So I went, how we doing okay on the comments? Because I'm not looking at both. Hang on. Hi, Dragonfly. How are you? And Happy. Hi, Happy. Happy, yes. Happy's. I was hoping he would have mentioned. No, he's not going to mention the QFS yet. They have to distance themselves from all that, I believe. Remember, in the art of war, the best thing you can possibly do is keep the enemy guessing. So that would not be wise to announce anything. He's hinted enough times, and if people know what you're looking for, even though there's other language that may be used, I think they're not going to rock the boat just yet because there's too much that's about ready to go down. Yep, all the auto pen pardons. I think their history. Donald didn't learn anything that but here's the thing, Donald. It's not about what we know, and it's not necessarily about disclosing to us. It's setting up evidence that's required to enact certain laws that he passed during his first administration. So, yeah, we can tell you all day long, but now he had to, within 45 days of that election, he called for, these are all things that were required. Where is that? Within 45 days, he had to call for an investigation. After the election, the director of National Intelligence, who was John Radcliffe at the time, in consultation with other agencies, shall conduct an assessment of any information indicating that a foreign government or any person acting as an agent of a foreign government has acted within the intent or purpose of interfering Okay, so there had to be an assessment that, yes, they meant to interfere. It wasn't a mistake type situation. And then within 45 days of that assessment, the Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security must evaluate whether any foreign interference materially affected the security, integrity, or results of an election infrastructure, such as the voting machines or tabulation systems. Okay, so that has already been done by the Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security. And it also grants the Secretary of the Treasury the authority to impose sanctions on foreign persons or entities. They can freeze assets, they can ban transactions, they can sanction foreign sectors, and they can target enablers. They cannot overturn, invalidate, or pause an election yet under the IEEPA or that specific order. He can't declare martial law on that election fraud alone. He cannot deploy military domestically on that alone. He can't seize these voting machines or assume control of any state-run elections. See, that's the biggest hurdle, guys. Elections are state-run. And so it really limits what the federal government can do on just election fraud. They've got to tie this into a much bigger conspiracy. And there was a recent, of course, federal courts block everything, right? But federal courts recently blocked an attempt to use the IEEPA and related executive orders as a justification for federal interference with state voting machines. Of course, we all know that has to get to the Supreme Court and all. And then they cannot arrest domestic political opponents either. Hang on, I got to let Tim know. No, forgot. Just open door and get them. My sweetheart is picking up my dinner for me. Okay, so we're not there yet that I can see. Now, Patricia made a good comment too. Dragonfly, Clark. Oh, you're in Michigan. Wow. Okay. No, it's not smoky down in our area at all, Jeff. But Michigan, I would imagine it would be. Oh, that's what you were talking to Dragonfly. I gotcha. Okay. Let's see. Don't forget the AutoPan. Yeah, I'm just looking because Patricia mentioned everything. I mentioned something that I went and looked at. So hang on. Where'd you put that, sweetheart? Mike Lindell. Yep. Right. Under wartime, the commander-in-chief has control over the media and the FCC. And it's true. That's an important element in this whole thing, if it's going to come down. And I'm not saying it's not going to come down relatively quickly if they can put all this together, because that wartime status, the emergency status, all of these things that have been being renewed, that happened a couple days ago. When did we start bombing them again? Did I put that there? The wartime status thing, that is critical, because that really does give him a lot more power. It's not absolute power now, because guess what the fly in the ointment here is? The fly in the ointment with the wartime powers over the media is the media itself, because of their rights to not be silenced, allegedly. Of course, they have been forever. So we might see that coming out also. You see what I'm saying? All of these hurdles have to be overcome. Also, there usually has to be riots in the streets for them to pull that lockdown in wartime powers. So I think we're going to see something happening that's going to make some more riots in the streets, where it becomes dangerous. I just don't think we're there yet. So you got the freedom of the press issue, and any censorship of the press is going to have to be strictly scrutinized. But the Don Lemon thing was also a predicate to this happening. They can be arrested, they can be charged. So you see what I'm saying? This isn't haphazard, guys. And I laugh when people say, just do this, just do that. This isn't. Every little foundational brick is being laid one on top of the other, is what I'm seeing anyway. Let me know what you think. So the First Amendment is an issue. The problem, of course, the first thing that has to be done with these crooked politicians and stuff is impeachment. And with so many of them corrupt, it's hard to actually get impeachments for them to pass anything. You see what it's like. Now, World War II, they did have significant but not total control. And the same with 9/11. They shut down airlines and communications. And I don't think they shut down communications. The media kept going. But it says, in short, this is for Patricia's question about the wartime powers. The president gained significant leverage over communications infrastructure and broadcasting in a genuine wartime, which this is, okay? But not dictatorial control over the media as a whole. So I think he's going to have to show some corruption in the media. And there's so much going on right now. I thought I saw something coming out. Let me check that other little thing I had for you. So claims of absolute power, that people are saying he can just go in and do this automatically without the resistance. That's not how it's going to go. We can't have this overturned because we're not going to get another chance. It's got to be done right. So these powers under wartime are meant for national defense. That's we've got foreigners coming into our election. I mean, really, is there a difference if they come in, if they steal our election information, which is our social security numbers and everything else, versus they come in and attack us? They're both assaults on us. They're both harm to our security. So, I think that's why that cyber thing had to come in. I think it's all been placed very nicely because he can do it for national defense, but not for domestic political control. Okay, so let's see what we have. Control. Yeah, okay, we're down there. All right. Oh, my Timmy's here. Let's go back. Dragonfly's got something here. All right, let's see where we're at. I didn't even see Timmy on here, but I guess he's on here. There he is. Hi, sweetheart. How are you? You'll be home soon, huh? So let's go up here and see what we've got. All right, now, Barr is a bad guy. I've always felt this. This is in reference to Dragonfly. Muskegon, Michigan. Bill Barr was involved. You have to remember, Bill Barr, he was a spook for a long time, wasn't he? Was he the one? There was a spook for a long time. And, that's when you see these people that say, oh, I was, in the government doing this and doing that and doing that. Sometimes you got to be careful on which side they were on when they were in the government. So, it wouldn't surprise me in the least bit. I think he's dirty as the day is long. We got Jeff. Jeff and Dragonfly are both from Michigan. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. But see, that's why it's important to not paint a state with a broad brush just because they're blue, the state is blue. And now what we're finding is that even those that have a lot of blue in them, a lot of them have flipped and they're being rigged, so they don't have as many people as we're being told. They don't have as many rioters as they're all being paid to do all this stuff. Evidence helps to happy. That's an excellent point. The evidence helps to feed the transparency. That's why this is coming out like this. By the way, any of you guys that are in Florida, we're going to put together something. I'm going to look at a time where maybe a group of us can meet up somewhere that's central to all of us. We might have to each drive an hour or so or whatever, but we'll meet up. I don't know what yet. Maybe we'll do lunch. Maybe we'll go talk somewhere at a park. Who knows? But we'll just get to know each other. So if you're interested in something like that, then let me know. Let's see. Okay. Dragonfly said he voted in Michigan in 2020 and got text messages and thanking me and my husband for voting in Georgia. Did you save those? You might want to contact. Actually, it's the federal elections. Who's doing this? Hang on one sec. Yeah, you definitely. Every little bit they get helps. So it had to be. Right now, it looks like it's moving to national emergency. Where did we say that would go? Okay, the initial makes the initial determination. Oh, that was another thing too. As far as using the Insurrection Act, right? Because we've always heard that. And here, tell me what you think on this one, because the Insurrection Act was never used for the J6ers, but we sure heard that a lot. It was programmed into our minds. There's not anybody in the United States, at least, that hasn't heard the language Insurrection Act, right? And they think basically that means anybody that goes against the government. So that kind of, even though it was never used, it was put out there. It was a seed that was planted for the very moments that we're about to experience. So as far as the Insurrection Act, okay, it would still be difficult, but it lets the president deploy federal troops. And this is why I think this is what they're going to use, and all the rest is just building up to it. It lets him use federal troops or federalized national guards domestically when a state requests help, which I'm sure many will, or more relevantly, unlawful obstructions, combinations, or assemblies, or rebellion against the authority of the United States makes it impractical to enforce the laws by ordinary judicial proceedings, especially when the judicial is corrupt too. So that's what I think we're going to be using at some point. And basically, the person that decides to enact it lies in the president. So he gets to make the determination if he can use the Insurrection Act, if the threshold's been met. It's very broad, and it's a self-executing power. Now, again, just elections, it could be framed as a rebellion or an obstruction if it arises to systemic nullification. So if it gets so big that it nullifies numerous elections, then definitely I can see that happening. So there was one other thing I wanted to tell you guys. Oh, this is about the Fed. So it's coming at us from all angles, right? On July 15th, I don't know if you guys heard this, U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, announced that John Harold Rogers, a 64-year-old former senior advisor for the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, so it's a former Fed person, was sentenced, not accused, not indicted. He was sentenced today in U.S. District Court to 38 months in a federal penitentiary in connection with making false statements to federal investigators about sharing restricted Federal Reserve information with Chinese intelligence operatives. So now our the Federal Reserve, has been infiltrated. Another seed has been planted. Pirro said that John Rogers spent years secretly funneling sensitive Federal Reserve information to Chinese spies. He then looked investigators in the eye and lied about it. And when that wasn't enough, he lied again under oath at trial. Federal Reserve employees entrusted with America's most sensitive economic information cannot sell out their country. Are you seeing the insurrection again? And their colleagues for personal gain, and then expect to hide behind a single word. Rogers had Chinese handlers posing as graduate students in Chinese universities that were linked to intelligence operations. He was being paid $450,000 for a part-time teacher as a cover to these Chinese students. So he's teaching Chinese students as a cover, which connected him with these people that he set up as being, that were spies. So that's the Fed coming down. I mean, it's just one thing after another. It never stops. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Yes, exactly. He's gathering. Patricia said that he's that the commander-in-chief is gathering info in many areas until it's time for the flood. Yeah, I think so too. And isn't that odd? But when you say the flood, because we know watch the water, we know the rains are really bad in China right now. We always heard about a worldwide lockdown. Maybe it's different. Maybe each country has their own reasons that they're doing it. Maybe, and they all have different laws, so it couldn't have just been done universally. But China is going to have a serious power outage if that Three Gorges Dam fails, in addition to major flooding and catastrophe. So they're going to have definitely blackouts if something happens there. And that may be what's going to happen in China. Let's see. Dragonfly had something good here. Let me keep seeing. I thought I looked at 4472 also, Den. Hold on one sec. Stone Mountain. Where is that, Donald? I thought that was Georgia, isn't it? But, oh, you're having thunderstorms. Okay. So Q4476. Let's just take a quick look. Q alerts. Let's bring it to the screen here, guys. Okay, and it was, what was it, Den? It was 4476. So see what I'm going to Q alerts. We're looking at number 4. Whoop, no, that was the wrong thing. 4476. Okay, 4. Oh yeah, I saw that also. Because I was looking at the date. Or no, there was a keyword that it hit on. All right, so what this says is that's Q making the the connection between the two different flags. Old playbook still, no, that was something else that I was looking at. MSDNC, Germans' rights, global economic depression, reparations, how did Hitler gain power? So yeah, the Associated Press news agency entered into a formal cooperation with the Hitler regime in 1930s. So there is precedent for this, supplying American newspapers with material directly produced and selected by Nazi propaganda ministry, which of course is the same as the deep state. Archived material unearthed by German historian has revealed. Oh, cool. To that extent, it is fair to say that these pictures played their part in disguising the true character of the war led by the Germans. And that's what's happening here, too. Wow. How did Hitler gain power? What events created population defiance or extremism, which we have? The insurrection, and again, we're hearing the insurrection. Global economic depression, reparations, huge rise in unemployment. Now, mind you guys, this was posted June 17th, 2020, 6 years ago. And then it goes into peaceful protests, all the tags we've heard: propaganda campaign, information warfare, we've had POTUS must be removed. We've heard that a million times. Global economic depression. This is all that same game plan, that playbook that I discussed in that one video about how these control structures get so powerful and what it's going to take to undo them. End goal, then V now. BLM, preparations, huge rise of insurrection. Okay, so insurrection, riots, city takeovers. We've seen them. Remove police. But see, everything else wasn't. That was happening too, and they were trying to defund the police. Property destruction, yes. Assaults, murder, yes. Released by the Democrats. Governor, mayors, back to the streets, safeguard. They're all there. This is so being laid out. End goal, then versus now, has always been government control. So that was the thing, the government control, the control matrix that we know about, and understanding the past. Okay, that was a good one, wasn't it? Let's go here, bring this back to here. Okay, Trump plan. Okay, so Dragonfly says, the art of strategic war, know the battlefield. Exactly. You can't go, we don't have the intelligence that these people do to be able to second guess the moves that are being made. This war has been going on a long time, guys. Know the players. Exactly. Control the narrative. Choose your battles. Exactly. Move when the enemy is unprepared. I couldn't have said it better, Dragonfly. That is exactly right. It's hard to get rid of the baddies because we get censored. Yep, that's true. Let's see. Must have woken up a few when so many media didn't cover it. Bingo, Ian. You got that. I think that was one of the worst things that they could have done, was not air that. They would have been smarter, because, to be honest with you, I was a little bit disappointed in it, because I expected to start seeing logs being shown on screens of people voting and all the evidence. And there's evidence that's underlying all of this. And I expected to see that. But now that I read those laws that Den put, those EOs, I realized that the purpose wasn't, it was to make us look. Now he's throwing that out there. He's throwing those seeds out there, and he's waiting for the media, the online media, to start taking these documents and disseminating them all over. Repetition. He says it once. Okay, great. It's got to be said over and over and over again. And the way to do that is to push it out into social media. So I see that, I see that as a positive thing. And that's why I don't think anything is going down real quick. Let's see. And that's the thing, Ian, they did say that military law was the only way, but he's got to get in the position to be able to execute that military law. And like I said, my guess is it's the Insurrection Act. It's what's going to do it. And all of these other things, we may have more announcements, but the EOs expire, at least the one did on the election stuff, in September. I think there's a good chance this whole election thing could blow up by then. I really do. I think even the lockdown could happen by September, with as much as, because it's only July now. It's middle of July, right? So we've got, 2 more months, technically. And the way things are happening, I could see it happening. Yeah, the Canadians are blowing that smoke down our way. I thought some of it was up on the border of Minnesota as well. Helen's good for, okay, good. I figure you were. We've already talked about that for Florida. I'm going to put it on the board too. I'm going to basically put a little, what do you call those? Not roll, a little, you know what I mean, where you pick a choice. Yes, I can make it. No, I can't. And maybe some ideas of some things that we could do. Because we have to have an idea if it's going to be 5 of us, or 10 of us or whatever. Okay, so I've got that right, Ian Bell. I got a lot under here. Yeah, the flooding in Texas and the fires in Canada. I heard about that flooding. You think they're still emptying the dumbs? I mean, it could be, but they've been doing it so long, and I understand how many there are. It's possible. Okay, there are no blue states, only blue fraud in some big cities. That's a good point, Donald. That's a good point. The smoke is drifting south. I guess we have the mosquitoes, but not the smoke, so I don't know. It's weird. It can get smoky here, and the wind shifts suddenly. The CIA didn't. Now, Den says the CIA didn't inform Congress of Chinese infiltration, so Congress would certify the election. CIA didn't inform Congress of. Oh yes, that's another thing, and that comes to part of that whole thing we talked about, the actual corruption of the government on itself and the agencies on themselves. And you know, if anybody who thinks Comey is getting it for those that shells on the beach and that's all he's going to get, Comey was right in the middle of this. Brennan, all of them, they've all been. Again, keep in mind, they got to keep repeating these names. They want people to know them. They want people to know Brennan. They want people to know Fauci. They want people to know Comey. There's people that are clueless about any of this, guys. Most of you are much more informed about all this. So yes, you're right. That's part of that whole. When I did that, Yeah, you saw the thing that I did, that graphic that I did, that showed how this one. That was part of it. This right here, the institutional suppression layer. That's when the agencies had all those burn bags of evidence. They should have told. There should have never been a certification of that election. But our own agencies turned against us. There's also going to. This is all going to build to the mother of all bombs as a figure of speech. You're right. You're right. There, I don't know. I was never a big world history buff, or even an American history buff. I thought it was over. Get over it. Show me the future. But I don't know if we've ever had anything so consequential where society has gone down in the past. I mean, Babylon and all that. They've made the analogy of Babylon to what's happening right now, the fall of Rome and all that stuff. But I think what makes it so special and different is that this is worldwide. That the internet and the communications have made this so that it's worldwide. It's not little areas. We're much bigger now. We've grown so much. So I think it will be the mother of all bombs. So can I visit? Is that what you're saying, Dragonfly? I could visit your little property there? I'm only kidding. Yeah, there is more to come. Tuesday, Wednesday, you could cut the smoke with a knife. Wow, really? Do you guys wearing masks up there for that smoke? I can't imagine. And in Massachusetts, we had smoke for 2 to 3 days. Now it's okay. I kept asking my sister if she had it up there in New Hampshire, but she doesn't answer me about that. You could see ash particles floating by. So what do you guys think that is, the fires? What could fires be cutting? Well, that happens all the time up there, though, doesn't it? Q drop 4476 to 21. 3Q drop 446, a message, a clue, a ripple. Exactly. That's how it's got to happen. It had to be this way, right? It had to be this way. There's the message, and then 21 was the clue. It's just it all puts together. It's just like I know how anxious people are, and it's mainly because they don't understand that how big this really is. They don't have a clue. They have it all. Yep. Q number 44 also in play. 44 senators. Let's check Q number 44, you guys. I got some QAnons here. Okay. Let's check with number 44. Pull them out, guys. We'll look at them because this is one of the few ways I don't get censored talking about it. This was on November 2nd, 2017 at 3:06. And it said, before POTUS departs on Friday, he will be sending an important message via Twitter. Oh, boy. You think it's time for that? Let me see. It's 4:50, so it's got to be getting close, right? Let's see what he has to say. So, at real Donald Trump. Let's see if he said anything. Now, that was July 4th. He's got something pinned. And he's got some goofy stuff. Let me show you this. Hold on. We'll play for a minute. Okay, let's see what this says, huh?
Have to say. Have you or someone you know been diagnosed with TDS?
Oh,
The symptoms can be relentless. Fortunately, I'm Dr. Trump, and I have a treatment plan. Let's hear what some of my patients have to say.
I have been suffering for over a decade, and after listening to Dr. Trump, I can see some results.
Man, I've been suffering for years. I really didn't believe that was help out there. That was when I came across this video on TV.
I really thought I was a lost cause. This was gonna affect me for the rest of my life. But after using the treatment plan, I can see a difference.
I really wasn't sure I could help some of these people. They were so far gone, I wasn't really sure.
I had no idea how much this was affecting my life. My work is slowed down. I'm hardly recognizable anymore. I just needed help.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Constantly angry. I made everyone miserable around me.
I feel like I've aged 20 years in the last 2 years. I've been so concerned. I was really starting to worry about my future.
The treatment is simple. Turn off fake news. Say your prayers, and if you ever feel anxious, just have a Diet Coke like me, and you're going to see a remarkable difference in your life.
So, when have you ever seen a president of the United States trolling people like this? It's just unbelievable. I love this guy. I know. I just absolutely love him. Let's see. Where are we going here? Patricia says, don't let your hope go. Let the faith stay. We're in the storm. We are in the storm in every way, but we will win. It needs to play out. They have it all. I think they do too. And I don't know what you guys think, especially some of you that are Anons may know a little bit better. But what about John McAfee? I know this guy is alive. And the thing is, a lot of crimes, you have to freshen the evidence. So you can use evidence from before, even if the statute of limitations has expired, as long as there's ongoing activity, right? But you can't prove ongoing activity unless you have fresh evidence. And I think that's what we're seeing. I think we have a mountain. But as far as getting it into the courts and being able to successfully prosecute it, we had to, in order to be able to use the old stuff, we had to show that it was ongoing, which it clearly is. Nobody stopped them. And we have to freshen the evidence to prove that it's ongoing. So it's all part of it. Nothing's a mistake here, guys. Nothing. Let's see. Correct, Dragonfly. Oh, Q44 also in play. 44 senators affected by Jack Smith. Oh, okay. I haven't heard that one. Tell me about that one, guys. Tell me about 44 senators affected by Jack Smith. I can't keep up with you guys. There's so much, but it's kind of cool that we get to talk about it. 44 senators and former special Jack Smith refers to July 2026 disclosure by Senate Judiciary Committee Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson. He's the permanent subcommittee on investigations. Ron Johnson is. According to the records released by 2 senators, the investigative team led by Jack Smith obtained and reviewed text messages involving 44 current and former members of Congress, a mix of senators and members of House of Representatives, so both parts, as part of the investigation into former President Trump. The allegation is that Grassley and Johnson alleged that Smith's team circumvented the DOJ's filter team process. A filter team is typically established to screen subpoena materials to ensure that privileged information, such as communications that are protected by the Constitution or debate clause or attorney-client privilege, is not accessed by investigators. So that's the filter process. So they abuse that, right? The messages were reportedly obtained via subpoena to a National Archives and Record Administration for records associated with White. The list of 44 lawmakers included both Republicans and Democrats. Among senators identified as having had messages reviewed were Chuck Grassley, Ron Johnson, Lindsey Graham, Josh. I remember this. Cory Booker. Grassley and Johnson characterized the investigative team's actions as a runaway train and a weaponized. Yeah, okay, so that's right. They were spying, but, and there's the full list. Let's see who it was Lamar Allen. Let me show you the list. Hold on. Since we're talking about it, let me show you the list. Yeah, I think that's it. All right, so we have Tennessee, Lamar Alexander, Roy Blunt of Missouri, Cory Booker, New Jersey, Susan Collins, Maine, John Cornyn, Texas, Tom Cotton, Arkansas, Gardner, Colorado, Lindsey Graham, South Carolina, Chuck Grassley, Iowa, Josh Hawley, Missouri, Cindy Hyde Smith, Mississippi, Ron Johnson, Wisconsin, Mike Lee, Utah, Martha McSally, Arizona, Rand Paul, Kentucky, David Perdue, Georgia, Rob Portman, Ohio, Rick Scott, Florida, Tim Scott, South Carolina, and Dan Sullivan. So, of Alaska. That's kind of a mixed bag, isn't it, guys? It's, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Cory Booker has the eyes of a snake. I can't imagine him possibly being on the good side, but you never know. Just stay inside. Everything has to do with digits. It's a cue, drop, playbook, pay attention. And that's where the number 44 comes, because when we went to 44, it said before POTUS departs on Friday, he'll be sending an important message via Twitter. So let's hope so, huh? Let's hope so. He always does on Friday, but we don't have it yet. When I went to what he had there, there's a poll, ice, if you like ice or nice, silly polls, nothing big. Doesn't mean it can't happen late. And there's one of him dumping, who's that guy? That's that liberal guy that has a late night show. So I'm not seeing anything yet that he's tweeted, but of course it could also be on Truth Social. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if that happens. I'll tell you what, we've been so stocked up. First president to bring down prescription prices. On Truth, he's got such great news in June inflation numbers. Big win in court for the American people, the so-called Digital Equity Act. A Biden DEI law was ruled exactly what I said it was last year, a racist and unconstitutional giveaway that never should have become law. Sleepy Joe. So we had a law overturned. Nothing big. We'll see. But they do come in late, and who says it has to be Friday or whatever? Yeah, Jack Smith was a bad guy, wasn't he? But see, it's the same thing with who was the VP last time? Mr. I never go anywhere without my wife. Remember him? I mean, that's the old saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Nope, just stay inside. Everything has to do with digits. Yep. I know that ad. I love, I don't know if you ever watch Il Donaldo Trumpo. Some of those crack me up. It's like absolutely insane. Diet Coke. He's always on it too. I even thought about doing something on the Clean Living Lab about some healthy Coca-Cola substitute that tastes like Coke. Remember the old Coke syrup before they put the high fructose in it and stuff? I think he's alive too, Patricia. And he trapped them, yes. Pharmacist Trump is AI, MD, misdisclosure. We know it's AI. Okay, Michigan senators are Slotkin and Peters. I haven't gotten any tweets from Trump on TS yet. TST, oh, True Social. Yeah, I didn't see any there yet either. Pence is the God-fearing husband that loved his wife so much. He was very bad. Is this the end times now? All these fires and flooding, didn't the Bible say that? That's my sweetie. I don't know if he's still there or not. You know, the end times have come many, many times before when you look throughout history. So I don't necessarily see the end times as the destruction of the planet or any group. And when we get into the nature of reality, as long as we don't let them destroy our consciousness, we can be anywhere, basically, that we choose to be. So, you know, is this end times? I'm going to say absolutely not, Tim. Come on, you've been places. If you're not convinced now that there is a whole unseen realm that where life exists, and things that, you know, we haven't been exposed to, and things that even when our bodies, our physical bodies die, there's still a consciousness that goes on. So no, I don't think in the terms of end times. Perhaps end of this civilization. No, they're saving it. They could have crashed this thing and had this whole thing over in 2 years if they wanted to crash everything at once. They're trying to do this slowly, methodically, and it had to be this way. That's all you can say. It had to. So no, I would say I don't like to say that. I don't like to say it's end times. And again, you know how I feel about religious documents. Man wrote them. God, the force, the source, whatever you want to call it, the one did not write these books. This was done by men, and men are fallible. Men can make mistakes, you know, and there's different interpretations. If you think strictly in a physical 3D realm, then I think people are missing a lot of what the Bible says, because I don't think it was meant to be taken literally. Didn't it say that in Revelations? What, sweetie? That all this stuff would be happening? Yes, and it is happening, but who's to say that that means that it's the end of this world? It's happening, and but it means, let's look at it this way. Let's look at how we define the world. The world today is very corrupt. The people have lost their freedom. They've lost their right of having free speech. They've been brainwashed for 80 years now, almost. So if this world goes down, if it's the end of this world, then metaphorically, yeah, it could be the end of this world, this corrupt, dark world of slavery. Yes, it could be the end of that. And so it's all interpretation. These books and stuff, it's all about how we interpret and see things, and how we want to, the world that we want to create in it. Yes, see, that's how I see it too, Dan. It is the end in one sense. It's the end of darkness on this planet. So if you want to say that world, yes, it's the end of the dark world, moving us into the golden age. Absolutely. What's for dinner? Just checking. No, I'm not eating right now. No, not even close. Maybe the end of these, I'm not even cooking. Maybe the end of these times. Exactly. That's how I see it, Dragonfly, is that we are about to. Oh, there's Shelly. Shelly, big hug. Where have you been? Beautiful. Real raw news about the U.S. intelligence sources. Iran war is pretext for obtaining exotic or alien tech deep in a cave. Yeah, I did one of those. A video on that, Shelly, about. You can look for it, but I'll also put it in there on the rare earth minerals. Apparently, oh no, that was China with the rare earth minerals. Sorry. As far as Iran goes, is that what we're talking about? Really, about U.S. Iran. Okay, Iran. If you go back, and I wrote one. I did this also. I'll put both of those in there. But Iran has allegedly got a space portal, which is the main space portal somewhere underground in Iran. And that's why this is such a touchy, delicate position, because it's the main space portal. It's the one that moves us consciously, as opposed to just in and out of the immediate atmosphere. There's a space portal apparently that affects the consciousness of mankind, and it's in Iran. I'll link that. And so I would say that from that standpoint, it is a pretext for getting it, getting our technology moved. All of it is. So was him going to China, because China has the rare earth minerals that will make replicators that are required for replicators, and all this propulsion technology and stuff requires rare earth minerals, and China controls 90% of them. So it's all of these things. It's so funny that it's Stargate 10 is there. There you go, Stargate 10. It's not one thing. This is so huge, guys. It is absolutely so many, how do you call that? So many things in play going on at once that all have to converge in a certain way. This was no easy Stargate movie. I haven't seen that, but I want to, Dragonfly. Stargate movie. I haven't seen that yet. I have to see that one. See, I go from the matter of consciousness more than the physical, because all of the physical, I know that there's aliens. I've seen them. I've been in a group that was communicating with them. So for me, all of this, none of this Stargate stuff or any of that needs to be proven to me. I already understand. I know within my being. I also am able to connect energetically sometimes to, I'm not going to say it's extraterrestrials. I don't know what it is, but I'm able to connect energetically to a consciousness that is not mine, let's say. But it's always been a very good one. Moonfall is eye-opening. I'll watch that. Moonfall. Huh? I don't know if I put that video out yet about Disclosure Day. I think it's still in drafts. There's so much in that, guys. That's coming up next on the ExPharmacist, and marijuana brownies are coming up on the Clean Living Lab, about the medicinal benefits, not to get high, guys, but the medicinal benefits of using marijuana. Specifically, I use the RSO, which is the Rick Simpson oil that has all of the good alkaloids in it and stuff. So that's coming up on the Clean Living Lab. The Disclosure movie's coming up. I still have crystal discussions with Dan Willis. Let's see. Happy says, I don't go with end times idea. Me neither. Think it's simply cycles, commonwealth, freedom. Yes, I don't know if Tim's still on, but keeps getting defeated by indoctrinated prison. Right, by what we're in, the prison that we're in. This isn't the first time. Like Happy is saying, this whole end times thing, and even the Bible, it can go on over and over and over again. I don't know how many, you guys bring up a good point. Actually, it was Timmy that brought it up. But since the Bible was written, how many times has civilization collapsed and come back? Let's just check. Because I'm sure, certainly not a Bible scholar. I read it once. It's impossible to provide an exact number, so apparently it's more than one. 31. Some sources note that roughly 30 major civilizations have collapsed in the last few millennia. This excludes the countless smaller tribes and regional cultures. Many collapsed societies did not vanish entirely, but I asked since the Bible specifically. And it tells me, understanding the collapse, yep. So, yeah, it's just BS. Since the Bible was written, the world has seen many societies rise, reach a point of high complexity, and then suffer a period of fragmentation or transformation. And that's where some sources say 30 major civilizations. So, that's the thing. So since the Bible has been written, this has happened over and over and over and over and over again. Yes, exactly. The Hopi believe the golden age, the fifth world, and that's really tight in Hopi prophecy. I did that one. Since you mentioned it, I'll put that in here. Fifth world. And also, I don't know if you know it, Den, but the Hopi prophecy also talked about the man in the red hat and the two, they didn't call them angels, but they called him something by his side, which I'll put those videos in there because I think it's Musk and RFK are the two that are going to happen. And so it's very clear that Trump, according to Hopi prophecy anyway, that Trump is the cleanser, the man in the red hat who's come to cleanse the world. Whether he, and it's sure looking like it could be, like he actually could be the one that also brings in all the technology and stuff. The red and blue Kachinka's right. Exactly. Yes, we did, and we cannot let it happen again. We need to stay strong, alert, in alignment with source in the universe. Exactly. And that's kind of what I was saying about that movie, Happy, is that disclosure. I really expected to hate that movie, but it was much deeper than the average person could understand. It was all about energetic transformations and how people can access certain fields of energy and shapeshift and everything else. It was actually pretty cool. Showed another timeline a few days ago. Oh, I didn't know that. Really, Patricia? Patricia said the Schumann resonance showed that we jumped another timeline. Remember I was asking about that ringing in the ears. Now, it hasn't happened in a couple days, but for 3 days straight, I had that ringing in the ears again once a day. So weird. So we got the movies. Donald's going to have what? Pork, steak, and rice and gravy. Oh, my. So I guess you're not Muslim then, huh? Let's see. We avoided a cabal reset. Yeah. And they had a parallel... they had parallel terminology, the new world. They've been working so long on this, and it included all of this stuff. And they were going to move the Federal Reserve into Bitcoins, I think, as the currency, and Trump put a stop to that. They're going to have a hard time. Superhero movies are disclosure of what we truly are. The powers that we have. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Vixen, there you are, sweetheart. We missed you, baby. I filmed the brownie video, and that will be coming up next in the Clean Living Lab. That's been filmed. I just want to go over the benefits and contraindications and so forth of it and how it's been used historically also. But I have the recipe is done, the video of making it. Timmy helped me with that. And I just want to add some stuff to it about, like I said, how it's been used historically and so forth and what it does, because we have a lot more information on it. Yep, things are escalating. The news in Sweden is a nightmare. Oh, wow. So what's going on in Sweden? Tell us. Vixen is in Sweden, guys. QFS Ripple Plasma. Yeah, yes, that's what I think it was too. So that was the transition time. Oh, that was the transition time, the resonance. Well, we may be getting close, but what do you guys think about the Three Gorges Dam having to go yet? And can we possibly be this close? Right now, the way I'm looking at, from everything I've seen, maybe September, maybe by the end of September, middle of September. But every time we expect something, you know how it's not happening. So we'll have to see. So what's going on in Sweden? You guys got stuff going on too? It's a nightmare. Let's see. Sweden unrest. Is that what we got going on? Oh, wow. I see what you're saying. It's the Muslims, huh? Hold on, guys. I'm putting it on. So what Vixen is saying is that this is Sweden here. Hijabs everywhere, Korans held high. Oh, my God. People protesting in the streets because someone burned a book. Signs demanding that criticizing their imported religion be treated as hate against. So you can't even criticize them, right? We're having exactly the same thing here. The difference is we're a much larger country. So we have this crap coming at us from multiple angles. You guys have a much smaller population, and that must be terrible. I'm just going to run. Yeah, that really sucks, doesn't it, guys? Massive riots and destruction in Sweden after being eliminated from the World Cup. Oh, I didn't know that. I'm not a person that follows that stuff. 1 week in Sweden, a 5-year-old girl gets stabbed in the neck at the playground. Knife is stuck in her body while she asks for a Band-Aid. Oh, my God. 2 young men stabbed at the beach. So, you know, this is truly an example of, is that 2? No, that's outside. Oh, Oslo. So there, Oslo is Norway. It's not Sweden, but so they're having fires in Norway. Wow. So this is blowing up all over the world, guys. This is truly a where we go one, we go all. Let's see. So Vixen said it's natural disasters, earthquakes over Europe, floods, people ending up in fights. Yep. A little girl down in the hill from me, 4 years old. Oh, my God, was stabbed in the neck by another child. The Arabs, yep. We have these people here, Vixen, that marry little girls. And I'm like, why aren't they being arrested? This is illegal. It's pedophilia. I mean, there's no consent in most states, unless they're moving to some wacko states where that's allowed. I don't know. So you're having the natural disasters as well. Yeah, that's the you're right, Happy. It's concentrated there because they have such a smaller population. Everybody send a little hug to Vixen, to all of us. Yep, massive fires. The Arabs have taken over everywhere here. It's going to be okay, Vixen. You have to remember, where we go one, where we go all. This is about to blow. This is really about to blow. Because, see, this may be, our police have, it says, the Arabs have taken over everywhere. Here, starting in 1992, our police have after 20 years of gang violence, just gotten it under control. Good. So the gangs are leaving Sweden, but we're overloaded with problems. Fires. DJT is destroying radical Islam in the Middle East. Exactly. And the communists in Ukraine and other countries, including the U.S. Yes, you're right. It's like that's everywhere. Just some places are more intense than others. But here's the thing. I'm so relieved I can talk about this here. I wasn't sure since they're everywhere. I'm deeply touched by your care. Of course you can talk about it, Vixen. That's the only way we're going to do this. I want some Iranian people on here, but of course their communications, I'm sure, are shut down. Let us know how they feel. We want total transparency worldwide. Exactly. Open communication yields a positive transformation. We're experiencing many of these things. So here's the way I see it, Vixen. Trump is doing all these things here that are putting pieces in place for him to be able to blow this whole thing out of the water and start making arrests and lock us down and all this. Every country has different laws and how they will go into lockdown. But we've always heard that the whole world will go into lockdown in one form or another. So my guess is these riots and stuff that are going on with there's going to be something in your law. It's a shame that that everything is in the U.S. You guys don't have forums like this in Sweden, I guess, where you can discuss these kind of things and what's happening, huh? Yes, exactly. I talk about that with Susan Nachman all the time. She's so close to that situation. They're highly educated and very kind. Yes, exactly. Vixen's talking about the Iranians. And Susan Nachman, who can't get on because of the time frame that she's in, but she talks all the time about the people. We saw when we first bombed Iran, all of the Iranian women in America were just cheering. They were just, and people were taking off their hijabs and all this stuff. So the Iranian people are good, ethical, kind people. I totally agree. And that's part of the machine. They've made us hate all Iranians, just like they've made Iranians hate all Americans. And that the fog is now disappearing. And we're seeing that people are people, and it's not the people of the country that are bad. It's the governments and the controlled narratives. So Vixen says she has a flashback, which is supposed to be the most uncensored forum in Sweden, but it's the opposite. The military's in there keeping track. Yeah. I see. That's the thing. Have you recently had an overturn of the government yet? Been any high-level government changes? See, because you may have your government. There has been none as of July 2026. It's Ulf Kristersson, the prime minister. So he's been in position since October 22nd. Okay. Secretary of State appointments on July 1st, 2026. They announced changes to the positions. So there have recently been Secretary of State appointments. On July 1st, 2026, the government announced changes to the positions of state secretaries. Specifically, Eric Scheller stepped down as a state secretary, the Ministry of Employment, to become the director of the Swedish Institute for Educational Research, and he was replaced by Sofia Mattilius as coordinating state secretary of Minister of Employment. Additionally, Hedwig Castenholm was appointed as the Secretary of State in the Liberal Party's coordination secretariat at the Prime Minister's office. So this is what we can expect to see. We can expect to see changes in governments and different players. And this isn't new, guys. These changes have been going on for a very long time. At least since Trump took office the first term is when they started, I believe. Shelley says her son is fighting to get his daughter back. His ex-fiance got with a Muslim and they took oh my God, out of state without my son's permission, and they are in Dearborn, Michigan. Oh my God. So does the wife, I guess it's his wife back, get his daughter back? His ex-wife have custody or something? Overthrow of the government in Sweden, I wish. You may not see an overthrow, but it may already be in place, and you may not know it. You may be looking at a movie, just like we are in a lot of ways. That whole Biden thing, people across the world can't understand this, but that Biden thing wasn't a mistake. That whole election fraud thing, basically, we've been throwing out bait for these people for years now, and they just keep taking it. And like I said, we're refreshing the evidence of the long-term fraud that we've seen over many decades. Yeah, you might see an overturn. Don't worry about that. Remember, when it goes down, Sweden won't be left behind. It won't. Minnesota fought us every step. It can't be. Shelley says Minnesota fought us every step of the way, but now with Trump in, we're making progress. I'm scared of what she's been through. That's always so sad for the children. I'm so sorry. Dearborn isn't good. Yeah, I heard that. Everybody send healing love to Shelley and prayers that her son gets her grandchild back. That's horrible. That's horrible. So why in the world would he even marry a Muslim after all the movies we've seen? I just can't imagine. I wouldn't. I would if that were my daughter, but what can you do when they're adults, right? What can you do? There is a reason that royals use the Swiss guards. Yep, you're absolutely right. It insulates them. My friend had a daughter, so Vixen says she had a daughter that was with a Tunisian, and he kidnapped her and went to Tunisia with her. She's wanted in Sweden, but they haven't found her. And nobody's going to look for her in Tunisia, right? Oh, she kidnapped his daughter. Oh, so she doesn't have custody. Oh, my God. Yeah, there's my sweetheart. I'm so sorry to hear that. What the hell is she doing hooking up with a Muslim? It was her son. Sending love. Vixen, really, our government may have been overthrown. It's possible. It's possible. I was checking. It's not that it was overthrown necessarily, but the people that are in place, that you'll see, you won't always see a big massive arrests like we expect to see in the United States, but you may see people retire. We were always told that some people would be allowed to retire and save their legacy. So imagine this. You've got tens, hundreds of thousands of people that have been involved in really bad wrongdoings and insurrections against their governments and stuff. And you can't prosecute them all. It's literally logistically impossible. But what you can do is you can flip them for information and evidence and let them die. Maybe Mitch McConnell, maybe the other one, Lindsey Graham, maybe that was part of an agreement that he was able to disappear, and because they're sure talking a lot of good about him now when they weren't so much before. So you can see that if you see people dropping out, retiring, and so forth. It may not be a violent takeover, Vixen. It could be that people retire and people are moved into place. You did have a weird election there. There you go, with two parties ruling at the same time. Exactly, bingo. That's exactly what's happening here. But they joined NATO without asking the people, and all. NATO could go away. We don't know. It's all a movie. She met him at work, and it went from there. Yeah. I mean, yeah. How do you control your kids? You know, how do you control your kids? And who would have ever known these things? It's just unbelievable. You have to say the same. Well, that's because of what you know. You know, it's what you know. They have. The thing is, guys, from what I see, these cultures that marry 7-year-olds and treat women to where they have to be covered up and they have no voice, and they're beaten so you're allowed to beat your women. These people are not consistent with people of a civilized world. So when somebody from Sweden marries somebody like that, or somebody from America marries somebody like that, or gets involved with them, it's almost doomed to fall apart unless that person rebukes what's going on in their country. I could see where a woman would say, she hates that over there and she loves the freedom of here. But to marry a Muslim man, they're still waiting for their virgins at the gate, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it sounds like she was young and didn't know. Yeah. Yep, and COVID is that's the next thing that's going to come out. Exactly, Dan. Dan is like on the money here today, Dan. Muhammad is in the Quran. I don't know much about that. But yeah, you're right on the money with that one, because what's going to come out next is that COVID was a bioweapon that locked us all down so that they could steal the elections. It's all coming in, all of it. She was likely 23 when she met him. I never would have thought she would do something like this. You can't ever. People change. People change. She was so independent and smart, really. And I don't understand how he got in her head like that, like he did. Wow. Unbelievable. Those cultures have no common sense. A man can marry a child. Yeah, that's the thing. When a man can marry a child and it's okay, what is the other thing they do with the animals and bestiality and stuff? They're just simply not compatible with us at all. And massive distractions creates tons of infractions. Exactly. Take your eye off them for 1 minute, and they're still going. It's kind of like they're not going to stop. We've had some interesting laws lately. This is over in Sweden. Psychological, verbal, emotional violence is now illegal. See, just like us, that's what we're seeing here, Vixen, is that Trump has been laying the groundwork for this for pushing a decade now. And it's not any one thing that is required. They have to destroy this whole monster. Again, we've talked about it. One big control matrix that consists of many different control matrices. They're all on autopilot down here. And then there's the elite that are basically laying out the rules and constructed this matrix. So all of those different matrices are on autopilot, and they have to be torn down and rebuilt. No, they destroyed their own countries, and now they're wrecking Europe and Scandinavia. Well, yeah, but keep in mind, I don't know if you're in a non-Vixen, but we've heard now for a long time that it had to be this way, and that where we go one, we go all. That means that we can't have freedom in the United States and not Sweden or Japan or China or anywhere else. Because once you do that, the deep state just sticks its feet in again to wherever it's still got a stronghold, and just grows, and it continues to infiltrate. It's kind of like squeezing a pimple where you don't get it all out. It's going to come right back. So it's non-negotiable that all countries in the world will come together for this thing. So you're going to be okay. Nobody's going to leave you guys out. Let's see. Helly, I like Helly. That's cute. We're slowly cutting off the tentacles of the corrupted octopus that surrounds our planet. And we're working on getting to the head. Exactly. Okay, here's the problem with Russia. I personally think, yes, Russia is part of the alliance. That what you're watching is a movie with Russia and China. And it's kind of like all of this drama and distraction about them It hurts all the yeah. There needs to be a stop period. But so what's happening there is there's major bioweapons and trafficking going on in Ukraine. It's one of the most corrupt, and the deep state had their. I'm going to put that in there too. It'll be in the description about a video I did about this and the bioweapons that are in Ukraine. That area that they have there, that inlet of water, is perfect for human trafficking and bioweapon. And we know that the deep state has vastly populated them. That's why Biden, Clinton, all of the deep state puppets were throwing so much money into Ukraine. They could not have Ukraine go down because that is one of the pivotal pillars is to shut down those bioweapons so the world can be safe, those bioweapon facilities. They're out of control. Oh, I still have that up there. Sorry, let me change that. Okay. So yes, that's what's going on up there. It has nothing to do with what you're hearing about. Russia is playing the bad guy. Trump is playing the bad guy. And it's all just part of a movie. Trump can't look like he's in cahoots with Russia. He can't look like he's in cahoots with Canada. All of these countries have to do their own thing, so it's not one big collaboration. At some point, I think the alliance is going to come out. At some point, I think it's because, I mean, really, when you say we can't have an alliance against this, but we've had NATO, we've had all of these alliances, the World Health Organization, we've had all of these alliances that held power before to control the world. So I think it's going to come out that there is one. Russia is taking out the Nazis in Ukraine. I don't know. I hadn't heard about Nazis. I only know about the bioweapons and the big trafficking. As a digger within the dumbs, I've heard the worst deep underground, exactly, military bases were located beneath Ukraine. Yes, absolutely. And getting to them has been a real problem. So yes, absolutely. Oh, but I did place it back on me, Patricia. Okay. The thing is, when I had it on there, I couldn't see what I was doing. The dumbs, also bioweapon labs, human trafficking, like Spirit just said. Yeah. And there's more than just hearing. There's a lot of evidence of this. Like I said, I did the research on Ukraine, and I'll link that one also, as well as the Hopi prophecies, because I know there's so many of them that you haven't seen, but all these things we talk about, and sometimes I forget about them. I've done over 1,000 of these things. I research every one of them meticulously over and over again to make sure that the information is correct, but I can't remember all 1,000 of them and all of these topics. So I'll put them in there again. Okay, so my hubby hasn't been home yet. Where's Timmy at? I heard the cloning center was located there as well. Well, when you say cloning centers, where they held their meetings and watched people off one another on command, like a Roman circus, that happens all over. It happens all over, and it's been happening for a very long time. If you guys haven't seen, see if you can find something on a guy named Paul Bonatti. Paul goes way, 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 way back into the 80s. He started revealing what was going on, and he fingered Bob Hope on an airplane that was involved in this crap. And Bob Hope, who was the one that went to the military and was beloved by so many, and Bob Hope was engaged in the ghoulish audience of what this man had to do. And as it turns out, he secretly got $1 million payoff from some lawsuits that he had going on. So he's kind of out of the picture. That may be part of that lawsuit, but you may still be able to find some stuff on him. And he was a wealth of knowledge. He clearly explained what these whack jobs do in these ritual settings. So yeah, I'm sure there's lots of them. We've got them all over the United States. They're all over the world, these various centers. Cloning, cloning, it's got a new definition, because When I was in pharmacy, cloning was actually taking cells and cloning somebody. Now it looks like they're applying them to many different, and when you do that, the cells have to grow up. So you can't just like take the cells that I'm aware of and all of a sudden take my cell and clone me right next to me right now. It would take 71 years to clone me now and have me at this time replace me. So I think there's more things going on there. They might be energetic. It might be masks that they're talking about clones. But the whole thing about cloning, I'd like to pin that down a little bit. I think cloning can have a lot of different things. Now, of course, the Roman circuses, that's all over. That's all over in the mountains of New Hampshire to the islands in the Pacific. It's all over. All of those silly games, sick games. Oh yeah, there's lots of them. There's lots and lots. Oh, I don't know Jetson White. He's military. He showed it cosmically. Okay, yeah. The Hopi prophecy is so right on. Adrenochrome, as I call it. What about the distributor and extractor CYM company? I've got to say that they've been shut down. I've seen them. I've seen the logs, the children's names, their ages, and so forth. It's very real. I absolutely believe that adrenochrome is very real, that the manufacturing companies were very real. There were trucks seen that had symbols on them that indicated that they were carrying them. But I think they've been shut down already. Yeah, okay, there you go. Happy says the same thing. He heard they were destroyed too. Yeah. 10,000 DUMBs. Yeah. They were all over the place. All over. And that's what I'm saying, guys. If there's 10,000 DUMBs there, right? There's people doing weird crap in every one of these. Imagine how many people are involved. Still, when you talk about the population of the world, it's still a minority. But man, there's a lot of people that need to go down. I think that the 500,000 sealed indictments, 600 and some thousand now, I think it's up to, is just the tip of the iceberg. I think there's going to be a lot more from what I'm seeing. Adrenocrime. I saw those docs as well. Unbelievable. Yeah, most children were suicidal due to the torture. Yeah. It's the saddest thing, but it's been stopped. And it's going to start being exposed what these whack jobs do. Helly Welly. Let's see. I had a thought and it passed. Now, I don't know that, just to address that on the kids, I don't know if most of them are suicidal. Here's what I've heard. I've heard that they use these kids for many, many different reasons, and that they sell them for their organs. And there is a movie coming out, which I put up, that's coming out by Angel Studios. It's coming out in the movies in September. It's called Runner, and that's going to be exposing the illegal organ harvest trade. If you guys want to see that, I'll probably go to see it, just to, not that I have to see it. I understand how it works, but they use these kids up, and then they harvest their organs after they can no longer perform and make the money as a trafficked sex worker. They also have, they do it in so many ways. They have children that they breed with animals. They have children that they breed just for abuse and just for adrenochrome, and they never leave the cages. And just the depravity is more than anybody can possibly understand. Every time they arrest or unseal those 700 indictments, they get more information. Exactly. When I used to work cases, the way it would work is we'd go in and we would bust one target, and we would, of course, indict them. But when we went in, their records always led us to somebody else. So when you go into one case, it just spreads out to the one case. One of the reasons I quit was I got, there was a lot of reasons, but I was on a federal task force, and we had multiple targets that arose from a target in Wesley Chapel, Florida, that I was a lead agent on, and he led us to many international targets. Well, I was asked, which was an absolute honor, I was asked to be on this federal task force for the international targets, and my boss wouldn't approve it. And I just was so angry and upset, and there were many other reasons. It got real antagonistic. But that's how it works. You have one case, and you get many, many other cases, and they can be international as well. They can be anywhere. Oh, so the documents that you saw had a box with suicidal, yes, no. Oh, that's where it said. I see what you're saying. Okay. Many of them were, understandably, of course. Yes, they called it disposing, when they tortured to death and then turned 12 and started producing hormones. You know, it's really cool to get different perspectives from different parts of the world. Oh, thank you, Mark. Thank you so much for sharing your energy. Thanks for being here. This couldn't be used anymore. Then they were placed with mass graves. Yep, within the docks, were ordered to be covered up. Vixen, if you can get me links to those, get me links to those. I'd like to see them, and I'll research them a little, because they're better since they could be seen from Google Earth. Oh, wow, the mass graves could be seen, and they covered it up. Wow. They were doing that. We heard the mass grave stories also after COVID with the nursing home. I know it sounds crazy, but there were witnesses in the nursing homes saying that the people basically were taken out of those homes, put into trucks, the COVID positive elderly, put into refrigerated trucks, and there were drivers. So there's 3 or 4. There were drivers, there were hospital staff, and so truck drivers. And they basically would take these bodies, freeze them, and then dump them into a mass grave, is what we heard as well. And that was those poor nursing home people. God, what an assault on mankind. That's got to come out. It's all got to come out. Many centuries of trafficking humans and children beyond and incomprehensibly horrible. What the baddies actually do is unthinkable. People like us can't possibly imagine it. Okay, Jeff's leaving. Thank you so much, Jeff. You're sounding great. It sounds like you're in good spirits. Okay, so it's almost 6 o'clock. We started at 4. That's a 2-hour. So Timmy's going to be drumming tonight. Let's see where this goes. And I love you guys. Tuesday. Okay, again, just to repeat what we've got going on. Disclosure Day. And this is going to be like a movie report like you've not seen, because I've touched into the energetic aspect that none of these reviewers are really touching on very much. I have indicators of deep state turnover, which I've got as an idea, and then quantum entanglement. Let me know if you guys want to go deeper into quantum entanglement, how it applies to us, our past, where we might have been in the past. Also, the crop circles. Dan Willis's emails regarding crystals will be the next one after the disclosure day. On the Clean Living channel, we have a recipe for medical marijuana, brownies. We've got ginger beer coming up. I'm going to make turmeric shots. I'm going to make these little shots for inflammation and pain that'll have turmeric in them and lemon juice, and they don't taste bad at all. Tim and I bought some of these, and they were $5. We didn't pay this because we got it at this closeout store that we go to, but you have to get what they have at the time. But I looked online; they were $5 a shot, $5 a daytime. 30, you're running into some major money now. So why not make them that? Looked at the ingredients, and they were so easy to make these shots. So I'm going to put that on the Clean Living Lab as well. And we're going to look at some adrenal fatigue and how to address adrenal fatigue for Vixen. So that's all on the Clean Living Lab coming up. So I think we've got everything. I love you guys. Yeah, those shots would be great, wouldn't they? Tim loves them. And he takes them, and he said it really helped because he hurt his knee, and he's wearing a brace right now because it's an old injury, and he messed it up. So he said after 4 shots, there was a noticeable difference in it. He's heading home now. Okay, sweetie. Okay, everybody. They're emotionally traumatized and shut off. The evil has gotten too high. People are looking. People are looking, Vixen. Believe me, it's all going to open up. Thank you, guys. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great weekend. You've got a video coming up on this channel tomorrow, most likely, and probably Sunday or Monday on the Clean Living Lab. Okay? Thank you, Shelley. I love you guys. Oh, don't forget, there's going to be a poll or a questionnaire on the community board on the ExPharmacist. We're going to try and get a get together of people in Florida. Okay, we don't know. It'll be a lunch. We don't know what it'll be. We'll just kind of wing it. Whoever wants to just drive and meet up and share some things. Maybe we'll do a live during our meetup. Won't that be cool? Okay, love you guys. Talk to you soon. All right, now I got to figure out. I know how to end it. I'm getting better at this, guys. Love you. Bye-bye. Stay safe, everyone.